In today's video, I'm going to be giving my honest thoughts about Gibson Murphy Lab guitars. We're also going to have a discussion about relicing and aging and whether it actually makes a difference to your guitar playing and tone. So sit back and relax and let's get straight into this Squealing Pig Guitars video. 2, 3. Hello guitarists, welcome back to Squealing Pig Guitars, the home of luxury shop machines here in Nottingham, England. My name is Keightley and today we're going to be doing a video all about the Gibson Murphy Lab guitars. And most importantly, I'm going to be telling you guys my thoughts on relicing and aging and whether I think it makes a difference from my experience of playing all these guitars day in, day out. The two guitars I have here today, for me, are the cream of the crop in terms of the Murphy Lab line. So on the left here, I'll grab it, we have a beautiful 58 reissue of an ES335, kind of the original 335 configuration of specs. This is a heavy aged example, so you have some very extreme pitting to the front. We have lacquer checking all over this example, yet there's no kind of sanded away areas. It's a very mature relic in my opinion. Then we have this guitar, which is probably the most famous Gibson guitar ever made, the 59 Burst. Obviously this is a recreation of that. This is in an ultra light age, so on the ultra light age you're only going to get a little bit of lacquer checking, but there's not going to be any breakthroughs of the finish, and it consistently feels like a glossy finish. So in my opinion, these two guitars are the cream of the crop of the Murphy Lab custom shop department. In my opinion, the ES335 is the most versatile instrument in the custom shop, and then the Les Paul is probably the most popular of the custom shop, so I thought it would be relevant to show them today. This video is going to be split up into chapters for your viewing pleasure. Firstly, we're going to be going over my opinion of relicing and aging. Then we're going to do a spec talk of both of these guitars. Then we'll be doing a tone talk, and then we'll finish with my final thoughts. So if you'd like to skip to any point in the video, use the chapters down below. But let's get into my thoughts about relicing. So the real question when it comes down to relicing is whether it is an aesthetic choice, so it's just about the visuals and the way that the finish looks, or whether it actually makes a difference to your tone, playability, and feel. In my opinion, coming out straight with my answer, I do think relicing is more than a visual thing. I think it does make a big difference to the way you play, tonality, and the feel. And although I might not be able to prove that exactly today because we don't have a non-Murphy Lab and a Murphy Lab to kind of compare, I'll just tell you my thoughts about the two. And you guys can agree or disagree in the comment section below. I'd love to have a debate in the comment section about your experience with Gibson VOS or Gibson Murphy Lab. So firstly, obviously, the relicing process, in my opinion, makes these guitars look a lot better. I love how the relicing kind of, outlines the pickups. It makes the finish look a little bit more taken back. Obviously the cracks to the finish make it look played in. It just has a really nice kind of antique look to it. From my experience of playing 50s Gibsons in America, as well as when people bring them into the shop, the relicing on this guitar is very accurate to what you'd find in the 50s. The lacquer checking is very nice. You can feel it, which is something that you don't tend to find on 50s guitars, but obviously they have to do it in some way. But it looks very nice, obviously got nice pitting. It really adds to this sunburst finish in my opinion. So yeah, I personally think relic or aging guitars look incredible, especially the Gibson Murphy Lab stuff. However, when we look at Fender and their heavy ultra relics, I'm not a big fan of them. I always call them caricature relics when they come into the shop. For me, I like a little bit of relicing, a bit like my my new P90 loaded Platinum 55. That one just has a sprinkle of relicing. It's not obviously relics from a distance, but it feels really nice. And that's leading me on to my next point. The reason I love relicing so much is obviously because it makes the guitars look amazing, but it also makes them feel so nice. Makes them feel played in, makes the fretboard feel nice and rounded. And this is universal to every relic that I play, whether that's PJ Eggle guitars, we had an aged make on that felt incredible, or whether it's a Fender Custom Shop guitar. For me, I've never had a bad experience of feeling a Relic neck, whether that meant that the lacquer was all the way off or whether it was just a little bit of Relicing. For me, it makes the guitar feel a hell of a lot more comfortable and it inspires me to play more because of the visual aspect. And finally, we're going to talk about tone. So in my opinion, I always think that Relic guitars sound better. I feel like the less lacquer that you have on them or the thinner the lacquer is, the more resonant that guitar becomes. However, that is just my opinion from the guitars that I've played. I encourage you all to go out to your local shops and pick up a Relic guitar and see what you think yourself. But I'd really recommend that you go and try one out so you can feel the resonance and how good they feel. These Relic guitars are something special in my opinion. So what can we conclude from this little segment of the video? Of course, I'm a massive Relic lover. I love Gibson Murphy Lab guitars, whether that's light age all the way to ultra heavy age. I think they make the guitars feel amazing, they're more resonant. Of course, on the Murphy Lab models, they tend to use lighter weight materials and that might be contributing to the resonance, but for me, the Gibson Murphy Lab stuff is the best stuff you can get from Gibson. However, what I'm not a big fan of is super relics and really heavily over-the-top caricatures of relics, a bit like you find in the Fender camp. We've had a few guitars in over the years that have been very, very poorly reliced in my opinion, where most of the back has just been stripped off, and I'm not a big fan of that. But when it's replicating a vintage style of instrument like the ultra heavy down here or the light age down here, I'm all for it. But as always guys, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about relicing, aging, and the Murphy Lab guitars? Let me know down below. I'm so intrigued to hear your experiences and what you think. Are you a Relic hater or are you a Relic lover? Let me know down below. But now let's get into the spec talk of these two guitars. So let's start off with the Les Paul because we actually haven't had this one on the channel yet. I did feature this ES335 in last week's new arrivals video. This is a very nice example of a 59 burst. So of course you have a two-piece flamed maple top. This one has a lot of dance to it. It's a very heavily figured top, a bit more figured than you'd usually see. This is finished in the poppy burst as well, which is one of my favorite kind of burst finishes. Of course, moving on to the neck, we have quite a slim neck on this one. It's definitely not a baseball bat or kind of like a traditional 59. It actually feels a little bit slimmer in my opinion. We then have a rosewood fingerboard with celluloid inlays. Of course, we have that beautiful kind of ambered lacquer over there to make it look more aged. We have lightweight mahogany on the back. That is one piece of mahogany with the aniline dies. And as you can see there, all the beautiful lacquer checking if I put it in the strip light there. Hopefully you can see it. We have hide glue construction on this one. We have the Gibson Deluxe Cluson style tuners, and then we have the classic Gibson headstock. In this guitar, we have the Alnico 3 custom buckers, which are the PAF clones. These are some of my favorite pickups to ever come out. They sound incredible and really encapsulate that classic 50s Gibson sound. 2 volumes, 2 tones, ABR1 bridge, aluminium stop tailpiece. Is basically the king of Les Pauls. As I mentioned, this is a light aged Murphy Lab guitar, so it's just got a sprinkle of lacquer checking. It's not really heavily done. To me, it just adds a little bit to the feel of the guitar, but fundamentally, this still feels like a VOS guitar, just with the odd lacquer check. Now let's move on to the heavy aged ES335. So now we go back a year to 1958, and these are actually very limited ES335s. I believe there was only 150 of these guitars released. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, Future Ben, tell me now.
Hey guys, Future Ben here. I was wrong. It's 130 pieces.
But basically, this is a limited edition run of the 58 specs. You might be asking, what is different about 58? So you get the long guard on the 58s, just like you get on the 59s. Then we get this beautiful sunburst finish. Obviously, we've got maple construction all over this, laminated maple. And this is like the first electric Spanish guitar, so it's very iconic. We don't have any binding on this one, which is a spec of the 58 era, and we have dot inlays, rosewood fingerboard, mahogany neck. But what really makes this 58 unique is the baseball bat neck you get on it. The 58 carve is so unique, the shoulders are so wide on them, and it has a really thick profile. It feels like an acoustic neck, but I just absolutely adore this 1958 profile. I've said this a few times from when I've had the pleasure of playing this series of guitar, but this is by far my favorite ES335 spec. It's very close to the 64. I really like the 1964 spec as well, but the 58 is a little bit thicker on the neck. It's a little bit more stripped back, and it's just got that amazing feel for me. Unfortunately, they don't regularly reissue 1958, so if you get the chance to get one of these, definitely pick one up. They're incredible. Then we have the same tuners as we get on the Gibson. As you can see, because it's a heavy age, they're a little bit more yellowed over. They look like they've been a smoky bar, got a bit of that nicotine-y look. Then we have the crown inlay, again with that ambered lacquer. Obviously got the nylon nut. In this guitar we have the PAF clones again, ABR1 bridge with the stop tailpiece. You can see that the hardware's been reliced a lot more on this one, a lot more rubbed down, so you can see kind of the differences between heavy aged and ultra light. On the back here we have a little bit of buckle rash, which just adds to the vibe of the guitar. I'll make sure to get some close-up shots of both of these guitars so you can see the relicing. But that is the specs of both guitars. So I reckon we've blabbed on enough about these two guitars. We better plug them in and see how this sounds. So let's warm up the Two Rock Bloomfield Drive and get straight into it. Guys, so we're gonna start off the tone demonstration with the beautiful ES335. For today's episode, I'm running into the Two Rock Bloomfield Drive on the clean channel using EQ2 and the bright switching gauge. So let's hear it. So there's the glorious neck pickup tone of an ES335. As I mentioned, I've only got a compressor on there and it's going straight into the amp, a little bit of a tape delay, but it loops so nicely, but especially with these jazz chords, there's just so much life to that low end. If you turn down the volume to about 8 and bring the tone down to 5, you get a beautiful jazz tone. Guitars can do anything from rock to pop to jazz, but in the neck position, if you bring it down to about 8 on the volume and 5 on the tone, you get a beautiful jazz tone. In the bridge pickup, you get that classic honky kind of blues tone. And of course, if you put a bit of distortion on, you get a classic rock machine. This might just be my favorite tone I've got this week. What I love about these Murphy Labs or this spec of ES335 is that you can be on a very distorted tone, and as you roll down the volume, get an almost clean tone on the 4. Credit to like the pickups and how they're wired, obviously a nice low output tone, but still very, very transparent. Now let's hear the Les Paul. Okay, now I pull out the Les Paul, I've got the distortion tone still on, so let's play a little bit of slash. So this is a very bright Les Paul, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because for me, bright always means alive, especially with the resonance when you unplug these things. You can hear from my microphone, this has a real zing to it. Very similar to how like an actual burst feels. I've played a real 1960s burst, and this has a very similar carve to that, and it actually feels quite similar in the fit and finish. Tonally speaking, it's very bright. So on the neck pickup, you get that really nice chimey tone, really good for fingerstyle stuff. In the middle position, you're going to get a nice kind of quack. And bridge is going to be pretty pokey. So guys, that concludes the tone demonstration. So guys, that is the end of this Squealing Pig Guitars video. I really hope you've enjoyed this video all about Gibson Murphy Lab guitars. I can't wait to hear what you guys say in the comment section below, so make sure to leave a comment, get involved, and let me know what your opinion is on relicing, aging, and the Gibson Murphy Lab process. Do you think it makes a difference, or do you think it's purely for vanity? Let me know down below. Whilst you're down there, make sure to click that hype button. This is a new feature YouTube is bringing in to help small creators like ourselves. So make sure to hit that hype button if you'd like to see us get more views on these videos. Make sure to leave a like on this video as well. And of course, if you're new to Squealing Pig Guitars, make sure to hit that subscribe button. In today's video, I really enjoyed playing these two Murphy Lab guitars. Whenever I get to do a Murphy Lab video, I'm always a very happy boy. In terms of the two guitars, I much preferred the ES335, but you guys know I'm a ES335 lover. I just love the 1958 spec. On my right here, it's a nice lightweight Les Paul, very highly figured. It's a beautiful Les Paul. If you're looking for a traditional 50s guitar that has that vintage feel, then you can't go wrong with the Murphy Lab guitars. I'm gonna give the ES335 a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna give the Les Paul a 9.2. But guys, that is the end of this video. I really hope you've enjoyed. It means the world to me that you guys are watching these videos. We've just surpassed 10,000 subscribers. Our real goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers, so we really need your help to get there. So make sure to share the video if you can. Share it to your guitar mates. We'd really appreciate it. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. That is the end of the video. My name is Ben Keightley. This is Squealing Pig Guitars, and I'll see you on Monday for another video. But until then, keep rocking, guys. I'll see you soon.